Okay, morning. Welcome, folks. Talking pictures again this morning. So you had some great pictures and some great discussions yesterday. So we're going to kick off with the same theme this morning and take it from there. So Cecile, I'm going to start with you with your pictures. So I'll stick up your pictures for you now, and we'll take it from there. So there's your first one.
Okay. Yeah, that is such a special picture. That's my dad, who died 4 years ago from cancer. And that photograph was taken probably a week before he was diagnosed with cancer. They used to live in this big house where they're walking from, and that is Bastian. It's his first grandchild. And he used to have this special thing that, and I'm so sad that I missed it. His thing was to show any children. He even showed my children, my grandchildren, any of the children that visited him. They used to take them down to the rocks and show them the octopus, all the little octopuses in the rocks. So he used to catch the octopus, show them the octopus, and show them what the octopus does. And then, so they all know him as the granddad with the octopus, or that's his great grandchild. So that morning, and Bastian was about 3. So that morning he said to Bastian, "Come, let me go and show you something in the rocks." And he took Bastian by the hand, and the two of them walked down to the beach, and he showed him the octopus. Now, I don't know, for some reason, I never went to see any of these octopuses. I don't know why. Everyone else did, but I never went to see the octopus. Even today still, I haven't seen the octopuses that he used to show in the grandchildren in the garden. In the rocks. So that's why that's such a special photograph for me. And the next one, Ivan.
Yeah.
That a few years ago, when Chanel was born, the one in the front there, when Chanel was born, we did a photo shoot. We did this photo shoot in a park, in I can't remember which park. But yeah, so my son that's holding the bottle there picked up this random bottle, and we think that why we're laughing is when he looked at the bottle and smelled that there was fluid inside the bottle. So we think it's a vagrant that was just sleeping there in the park, and that probably had peed in the bottle. That's why we're all laughing like that. And that to me is, it's not really the type of photo that you do on a photo shoot. But that is the funniest photo of our family, with everyone like laughing about Ruben with his bottle of beer in the thing. And besides that, he loves beer, and Sven loves beer, and Ernest loves beer. And even the grandkids are laughing like anything there, because we are all laughing like that. So that's such a special family photograph, that one. Thanks, guys.
Great, thanks, Cecile. Yeah, some nice family memories there. Enjoyed that. So, right, Vinay, let's come across to you next.
Hi, everybody. So I'm also going down the photo route because my picture is actually Clarence. I just simply love Clarence. And it is a very arty town. There's lots of artists there. And yesterday I showed you one of the pictures of one of the paintings of one of the artists there. But I thought what I'd do is, for those people who don't know Clarence, show you a little bit about Clarence. This is the road to Clarence in a very flat Free State. There are a few hills there, but that's on the way down there. This is also on the way down. And this is quite a nice photo of a rainbow that I found there. You'll see there's like nothing for miles in this area, but there are fences all over the place. This is the Titanic, which Clarence is famous for. It's the rock or the mountain as you come into Clarence, and it looks like the front of the Titanic, with all the beautiful colors in the front. These are the very famous cypress trees in Clarence, poplar trees, sorry, and a little bit of the mountains in the background. So just to give you an idea of how beautiful, it's a place that restores my soul. It's a picture of the golf course and my mum's garden in the front, but the golf course and the rainbow over the mountain called Horeb. It's one of the rivers nearby in Clarence. It's another picture of the mountains around there. I mean, Clarence is set in a very deep valley, and it's just got all these beautiful sandstone mountains around it. It's also very rich in history. An unusual rock formation. It's a picture that I took of a little place just outside Clarence, and that picture's actually been painted by Al Tiley, one of the fairly famous artists in Clarence. And this is one of my favorite pictures. I actually painted this one without the guy on the bicycle. I couldn't quite get that right, but I think it's really beautiful with all the different colors of the trees and the Swartberge in the background. This is one where it snows most years in Clarence. It's also the Swartberge with a bit of snow and some low cloud. And this is the Swartberge in the evening at sunset. It's one of in summer, which is quite a short period in Clarence. It's about 4 months where everything is nice and green and looks good. And this is the last one I want to share with you. And I hope you enjoyed that.
Great, thanks, Renee. Yeah, so we've got another artist in our group. You've got to show us some of your own work.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Not allowed to let things like that slip on this group. It doesn't go unmissed. So we'll pick them up. In fact, that's exactly where I'm heading in about a week's time. So I'm going to Golden Gate National Park for a few days in about a week or so.
Or maybe we can catch up and have a cup of coffee, because I'm going to Clarence for December, so I'll be there from Thursday next week until January.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, maybe we'll do that. Yeah, sounds like an idea.
Have a famous Trevor coffee.
Yeah, we'll have a famous Trevor coffee. But fortunately, we both on leave, so it doesn't mean we have to work.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Good. Okay, so Jasper, over to you on the banks of the River Kwai or somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not as good as a photographer as you are, Ivan, with that eye for detail and beautiful pictures there, Renee, and also Cecile. So yeah, I thought to just take you on a bit, maybe another journey is to say, share with you some of my background screenshots, and that's my picture and what it means for me. So I particularly like this one that I'm in now, because it conveyed to me a sense of tranquility and quietness and in nature. But the nice with so many other virtual backgrounds, I'll give you some more of my tranquil settings. Let me just check. That's also not a bad one. Me there in a grotto with a waterfall. And let me just check if I've got others. So in terms of tranquility, just check there. There's another nice tranquil scene with just no ripples on the pond, or almost no ripples. And then I've got a couple of them that, okay, there's. So when it comes to nature, I think things like fire, snow, and water speaks to me. So some of the fire shots that I got there, and there's another fire shot. And then water, I think I did show you this one, also a nice waterfall. Let me just say snow. There's some snow in the background. I don't know if that's also snow. Yeah, it looks like snow. So depending on where I'm very hot and I need some cold behind me, or I'm very cold and I need some hot behind me, I can maybe switch to some fire at the background. And I did show you some of the fire there. And then sometimes I visualize, I just want to see if I got that scene on the boat. If I just remind myself, and nowadays with COVID and all the limitations that they can impose on us in terms of travel, it might happen that I won't travel again because I'm not going to take the vaccine. So then I just remind myself that there was a time that my wife and I was on that cruise ship, but I trust that we never get to that COVID restrictions in terms of traveling. Yeah, and then for my little daughter, she's 3 years old. The only way I can get her to come and sit on Opa's lap is when I show her these pictures, and then we play around. And she likes ponies, but I just show her the pictures. And then my son, who's 5 years old, he's into dinosaur. So there's a dinosaur picture, and I position it so that the dinosaur can eat my head. So this is just a fun toy, but it's fun what you can do with visuals. So I think I'll leave it. Let me go back to a tranquil scene, and let's switch to, it's not Clarence, but it's somewhere out in nature. So I'll leave it at that.
Great, thanks. That's my whirlwind tour around all sorts of different places. You've got to find out where these places are and give them names. You know, it's not just good enough to say this is a picture. You've got to do a bit more homework than that. Come on. All right, so Ed, let's see how your homework was last night.
Yeah, it's amazing that I think Cecile opened a Pandora's box when she suggested doing it again, because it was quite easy to think of your top picture, but I found it really difficult to think of the next one, because there's loads and loads and loads and loads that wanted to be shown. And I hope you can see the screen now. Before I get to that, there's one picture I wish I'd chosen. It was how to prepare for a Zoom meeting. And it showed a cat taped to the wall so it couldn't move. But this picture here was when I was walking across Scotland. And this particular day, I'd been walking all day and I hadn't seen anyone. And I hadn't even seen a building. It was that remote. And what I used to do was, it gets dark about 10 o'clock at that time of year. It was in July in Scotland, so good weather for them. So about 6 or 7 o'clock, I'd start looking for a place to camp, because very often it was difficult to find a good place. And this particular day, I had been walking for hours through a bog, and there was absolutely nowhere to camp. And I was getting despairing about finding a place to camp, because the ground was very boggy. And where it wasn't boggy, there were big tufty lumps of grass, so you couldn't actually put a tent down. And then I found this, as I was despairing of finding anyone, I found this little tiny spot here. And normally I like to camp by a stream because it means I can wash and I've got water to cook with. But I didn't bother whether there was a stream there or not. I just saw this bit of flat ground. I could get the tent up and pitched the tent. And then I had a little wander around, and there was a little tiny stream cutting through the peat that I could use to cook with. Anyhow, I cooked myself a meal, got myself sorted out, got all my stuff sorted out for the morning. I was just, and the mist had come down by then, and it was drizzling slightly, and it was getting dark, and I just got sort of nicely comfortable in the sleeping bag. I was just nodding off to sleep, and there was this blood-curdling sound, a cross between a bark and a roar. And I know there's nothing in Scotland that can harm me. But at that point, I wasn't sure whether Scotland knew that. So I very carefully unzipped the flap on the tent and looked out. And there in the mist was this huge stag with massive antlers. And behind it, going across the skyline, was the rest of the herd of deer. And as soon as they'd all passed and were safely out the way, the stag just turned away and wandered off, sort of happy that he'd guarded his females from this strange object he'd spotted. And it was just such a magical moment that the following morning, I took this picture, and it's the picture I use on my business card. And when I give people my business card, I show them the view without the writing on. That's the way I hand them the business card. And if they stop and look at the picture, and even maybe comment on the picture, I then know they're my type of people. If they instantly flip the card over to see the writing, I know they're probably not my type of people. So that's my picture, and it always brings back fond memories of my Scotland trip. And just to finish off, the other picture I was thinking of talking about was the one on my wall behind me, but I'll save that for a future time.
Great, thanks, Ed. Yeah, it's interesting how those antelope can make some interesting noises. I remember the very first time I heard an impala making the noise they make when they're in rutting season. I was walking down a tunnel to a hide in the Kruger Park, and it gave me such a fright. I thought it was a leopard or a cat of some sort. I mean, it's just such an amazing sound, and yeah, it's quite a startling sound when you're not expecting it. So it can do some interesting things. Right, Donovan, let's get across to you next.
Thanks, Ivan. Morning, everyone. Because I'm not able to screen share, I've sent something to Ivan. I don't know if you're able to see it, so, Ivan. I sent a WhatsApp with a photo there, Ivan.
Yeah, I'll get it up now. I didn't hear it come through, so let me just give me a sec. I'll get it up.
Okay. Yeah, when it comes up, it's a black and white photo or copy of a photo. It was from a calendar that we had so many years ago, I think mid 2000s. So I liked it so much, I kept it on file, and I actually wanted an artist to recreate it. So it's basically a river. I think it's flowing from left to right, and then there's a mirror image of the vegetation or the trees that you see on top. It's perfectly reflected in the river on the water surface, and then it was captured during sunrise. So towards the right or towards the end of the river, you see that beautiful, brilliant white spot. I know spot is not the right word, but basically the photographer called this picture Heaven's Gate. So I assume the part that's bright and white is an indication of the entrance or the gate of heaven, where the dark things, the shady things will disappear, and it will, you'll basically enter a zone where there's no shade, there's no darkness, everything is bright and brilliant. And I think that's what attracted me to this photo, to look on the bright side of life. Or another song says, or when you walk on the street, walk on the sunny side of the street, looking towards better things, brighter things, a brighter future. So that's why I like this picture. Hopefully one day I'll get someone to redraw it for me, and I can have it on at least A1 size. Thank you.
Right, let me try that again with the mute off. Thanks, Donovan. Right, Trevor, let's get over to you next time. Trying to manage WhatsApp pictures and various other things are all in the go and getting my fingers tied in knots here.
Right, talk about getting fingers tied in knots. I've got a cat tying me in knots all over the place here. Right, so I'm going to share the screen here. And what I'm sharing, let's just get there, over there. I learned I'm not as good as Vernay with operating PowerPoint. There you go. So hopefully this can work for me. You know, the Wisdoms program is all about introducing people to the power of images as well, with simple text behind it. And that particular prose that I placed in the chat came from Zig Ziglar, and you saw that his book, See You at the Top, and I think it might have come from that particular publication, See You at the Top, where he introduced the concept of how man, meaning humankind, just stares in awe at various pictures and travels the lengths of continents to get to see these magnificent views. And so I grabbed a couple of images just to really put some image behind the words that he did. This was the first image, which I think is going to get Cecile going, because that's the type of a view that she's going to go after. I think the Hubble telescope just opened up how, and I don't want to use the word insignificant, because this prose is not about us being insignificant. It's actually about our place in this universe, which is made up of all these galaxies. And what we have here is how the Hubble telescope actually exposed that there are billions of galaxies out there. And that's what we're probably seeing in this particular picture. And this, what stimulated this thinking when I think it was Ed or Vernay who came up with the concept of a picture says 1,000 words. Imagine setting up your camp somewhere overlooking this, or your tent somewhere overlooking this view, Ed. I think it just, again, the awe of nature and how this was created and how we look in awe at these particular things, the animals, the sights, the views, the oceans, the seas, the universe, the galaxies. And then as that particular process, and as Zig Ziglar pointed out in that, and it wasn't something that Zig Ziglar penned, someone else penned that, as far as I can remember, that the point being that man passes himself by. Humankind, man, Vernay. So we'll allow you into our world as long as we can all go through Heaven's Gate into Clarence. And that man passes himself by without a second thought, basically. And the construct of man and everything that is about us is probably more significant than anything that we actually look at and are in awe of all the time. And that for me becomes the basis. In fact, we put this into the Difference Maker, which is a freebie program that we actually give away just to get people excited about themselves and respect for themselves. That we are this construct which people should think about more and just look in depth. So I thought I'd share that, but the point being from the theme, this is the picture I really wanted to get to. It just talks to me in a big way, and it's second only to Starry, Starry Night. I hope you listen to Don McLean. I can't find a tune that he wrote about this particular image, but maybe he didn't see it.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, some amazing images on both sides of nature. So I'm going to sort of follow on a little bit from what I showed you guys yesterday. Just a couple of quick images, just to displaying what I think is some of the amazing beauty of nature in this little world of ours. So there's a little pic I took of a Leguan. It was quite curious. Get onto that screen. That's a carpenter bee hanging on a blade of grass. That's a tiny little spider in a flower with the pollen. And there's probably, you probably can't see it in that image, but there's actually a couple of little thrips in that image as well, which are absolutely minute. There's one over there and one over there. They're about 1 millimeter long each in size. So you can gather the scale of the image there. That's a little gecko I found in a camp that we were in Botswana. And after I'd taken the photograph, I realized that he had this little mite sitting on his nose. But what really amazed me was the eye. Talking about eyes, any guesses on what that is? No? Okay, well, that's the reflection of myself and my motor vehicle in the eye of a wildebeest that I took in the Pilanesberg National Park. So you can see my vehicle in the eye there, and that's me in the window with my camera, and that's actually the shadow of the wildebeest whose eye I actually took the picture of. That's again a sunset in the Limpopo region, which I thought was quite amazing. And yeah, we're getting bored of all the photographs now, so that's just a little Scopsal just giving us a yawn. And then finally, this is one of my favorites because I have to deal with these techno idiots at the moment, in various places. So just to wrap it up, we'll take it from there. So yeah, just a couple of bit of fun photographs from my side. So yeah, I think that's probably photographs done and pictures done, but I think some great insights and some great memories that have come from all of our images and things. So we have a weekend ahead of us, and then Monday. Any suggestions for topics for Monday? Ed again, fantastic. What have you got?
Yeah, it's just sparked off by what Trevor said about difference maker. The other day I heard an advert on the radio, a government advert, which I thought was very sexist. So I complained, and I thought, well, if I complain normally, it won't get heard. So I found someone I thought might know someone who might know someone who might know someone. And they passed my email on. And yesterday I got an email back from the Prime Minister's office saying the advert has been withdrawn. And I thought, well, because I took the trouble to stand up and say something happened. So do people have an example of something where they've spoken up and something has happened? It might be a small thing, it might be a big thing, but have they made that difference?
Okay, great. So yeah, can you make a difference? Have you made a difference? Yeah, what was that example? Okay, that's a good one. Thanks, Ed. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. If we don't see you on any of the other Zoom calls, we've got a chamber one coming up in 25 minutes, and then we're heading off to Europe with your partnerships at 4 o'clock. So lots on the go today, but otherwise, have a great one and see if you can make a difference this weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Cheers then.